For most of my life, people called my dad a great man. He was the neighbor who jump-started cars in the winter, the parent who volunteered at school events, the guy everyone waved to when he drove by. If you asked anyone in town about him, they'd smile and say, "You're lucky to have a father like that." And I used to nod and smile too, because it was easier than explaining the truth. Inside our house, there was a different version of him. A version that didn't care about smiles or reputation. A version that made me feel small, nervous, and constantly on edge. I learned to read his footsteps, his tone, the way the front door shut. I learned how to stay quiet, how to avoid eye contact, how to pretend everything was fine when it wasn't. I convinced myself this was normal, that every family had secrets, that maybe I was just being dramatic. But the older I got, the harder it became to ignore the weight of what I knew. One night, I heard him talking on the phone in the kitchen. He didn't know I was in the hallway. He was laughing, actually laughing, about something he had done. Something I had seen with my own eyes years ago. Something I had tried to bury in my memory. Hearing him joke about it like it was nothing made something inside me finally break. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I sat in my car outside the police station for almost 10 minutes, staring at the door. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. A voice in my head kept saying, "Don't do this. No one will believe you. You'll ruin everything." But another voice, quieter but stronger, said, "If you don't say something now, you never will." So I went in. I told them everything. I expected doubt. I expected awkward looks. I expected them to politely thank me and send me home. Instead, the officer listening to me grew very serious. He started asking very specific questions. Questions that made me realize this wasn't the first time they'd heard something like this. About 15 minutes into my story, he stood up and left the room without a word. I thought I had said something wrong. Then I heard sirens outside. My phone started buzzing nonstop. My mom, my aunt, my cousin, messages flooding in. "They just arrested your dad." I felt like time slowed down. I couldn't process it. I had walked in expecting nothing to happen. But something had already been building behind the scenes. My words weren't the only piece of the puzzle. They were the missing one. 20 minutes after I told the truth, my dad was in handcuffs. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel revenge. I didn't even cry. I just felt lighter. Like I had been carrying a backpack full of rocks my whole life and someone had finally taken it off. That day, I learned something I wish I had known years earlier. Telling the truth doesn't destroy families. Silence does.